Welcome to the SIG Security Maintainer Track Talk. This is Butterfly Effect, and if you are here for a different talk, you are in the wrong room. And that's cool. We will hang out with you anyway. My name is Coldwater.
My name is Savitha Raghunathan.
My name is Valencia.
And we are here for Kubernetes SIG Security. So, Kubernetes SIG Security. We've been a SIG in Kubernetes since 2020. The way that Kubernetes as a project works is that its governance is governed by a network of special interest groups, SIGs for short, which each have its own kind of part of the project that they are responsible for. So, for example, SIG architecture is responsible for architecture, and SIG auth is responsible for auth, and SIG security does security. At first, when I first got involved in Kubernetes, which was about 2016, back when the wheels were not quite on the bus yet, there was no SIG security. And the idea was that security was everybody's responsibility, which is true. And also, what that meant in practice was that a lot of people who were interested in doing security stuff related to Kubernetes would go to SIG auth as a sort of de facto SIG security. And then SIG auth would be like, great. Do you want to work on this authorization component? And the people coming in would be like, well, we were hoping that we could do more general things related to security. So it wasn't quite a natural fit. So time passed. We had working group audit, which was responsible for the first Kubernetes third-party audit. You will be hearing more about these later. And working group audit got together for a while and eventually decided that maybe they wanted to make a SIG out of it and have it be SIG Security. So SIG Security got ratified in 2020. And when SIG Security got ratified, me and the first co-chair, Savitha Sable, who is presenting with us but is not here with us today, we're like, we're going to call a meeting and we're going to put out a big call and we're going to hope somebody shows up. Maybe, hopefully. And as it turns out, people did show up. And we got our first sub-projects out of that, which again, you're going to hear more about in a second, which were SIG security documentation, SIG security tooling, and working group audit was already working group audit, but became one of our sub-projects. The other ones came later. So that is the start of it. We've been a SIG together since 2020. And what we have been doing since then is creating a space that is on purpose, really warm, really welcoming, really inclusive to new contributors, to people of all skill levels. This is really important to us for a couple of reasons. One, security people, this might be a surprise to everybody in this room, often have a reputation of not being the friendliest group of folks. And a lot of people might feel a little bit intimidated by us. And frankly, I think we're very nice. And so we want to create an environment that isn't scary, that is friendly, that does help bring people in, because at the end of the day, security is, in fact, everybody's responsibility. So we've evolved over time. And we're going to talk about that in a second. The way that we have evolved is, from the very start, SIG Security has been not comprised of a membership roster, but comprised of the people who show up. The people who show up, and what we do is the people who show up and do things, the ideas that they bring, the things that they're excited about, the passions that they have, the questions that they have, all of it. And everybody has a valuable perspective to bring. If you are the newest newbie and you have the questions that you think are too basic or too dumb to ask, we need to know that those are questions that somebody has so that we can help answer them. That's valuable perspective. And if you are a really experienced person who knows everything about everything, fantastic. Come contribute that knowledge to us. So everybody has a part to play. And as SIG Security has grown, most of our work has been done through sub-projects, and you're going to hear about those in just a sec. So here's what we've got going on right now, and here is what we have coming up. The first thing we're going to talk about is the periodic third-party audit. We just wrapped up the Kubernetes security audit for 2025. Let me tell you a little bit about how the audit process works, and how this one is a little bit different than the ones that have come before. So, historically, the Kubernetes third-party security audit has been about the Kubernetes codebase itself, which I'm sure this is a shock to absolutely everybody who has ever been to a KubeCon. That code base is rather large. It has also been audited more than once. So this time around, our focus is a little bit different. Instead of just concentrating on the Kubernetes code base, we are concentrating on the most widely used non-core components. So different things are being audited this time around, which means we're going to get different findings, which means the whole thing is going to become more secure, which is pretty exciting. So what the audit process looks like in general, the third-party audit sub-project gets together, puts out a request for proposals from different teams, different companies who want to do the audit work. They pick a team, they do the audit work. Once they get that findings out of the audit, they pass them on to the Kubernetes Security Response Committee, who is then responsible for triaging those findings, issuing the CVEs, creating CVSS scoring for it, and then passing it on to the appropriate parties to put out fixes and patches. They then also will eventually coordinate with distributors to make sure that those patches get distributed appropriately. Right now, we are at the phase of audit is wrapping up, it's getting passed on to the SRC, they're going to start issuing the CVEs, then those patches are going to start happening. Mostly, I'm talking about this in generalities, because frankly, I can't talk about this, because a lot of it's under embargo, and it's still in flight. So I can say that there is one finding I am allowed to talk about, and that is CVE 2025-7342. I expect nobody to remember that. But I will tell you what it is, which is hard-coded credentials in Windows OVA/Nutanix images. So there will be findings. They will be interesting. Make sure to patch them when they come out. And the full audit report will be released in time for KubeCon EU. So if you're going to KubeCon EU, or if you're tuning in at home, stay tuned. Next up, we've got our next group to form, SIG Security Docs.
Thank you, Ian. So SIG security documentation used to be a part of SIG documentation project, which oversees the Kubernetes website. We have all been there. It's amazing. I need to give kudos to the folks that were running it for exams or like for deploying stuff in production and everything. But over time, the SIG security docs, which was under that project, became a little inactive and it got archived. When SIG Security was initially formed in 2020, this project got rebooted the goal of creating security awareness through documentation. Since then, our group has grown a lot, and as a community that actually practices learning and sharing security knowledge in the form of tutorials, blogs, examples, and hardening guide sections, which we will learn a bit more in like a couple of minutes. So this project is led by Rory McCune and myself, and I would like to take a moment to thank Rory for spending his time with us, and then he's sharing all his abundant security knowledge with all of us. When Ian said when there is someone with a lot more security knowledge, they come and contribute, and when there is this newbie, there is to learn. I'm the newbie. Rory is the one with the security knowledge, and I have grown a lot, and I need to give credits to all these people for that, and I cannot thank them enough. So this is what we do in the SIG Security Documentation Subproject, and we do have 2 exciting projects that are currently in flight. And the first one is OWASP Kubernetes Top 10. How many people have used or referred to OWASP Top 10? Right? All of us do at some point of time. Like, you need to know more about it, and then you're like deploying an application, creating an application, managing an infrastructure, securing things, and then when Kubernetes came along, from VMs to Kubernetes, things evolved at much larger and complex. It was really complex. The growth was like exponential, and that was the word I was looking for, exponential. So currently, the OWASP Kubernetes Top 10 exists, and it is outdated, and it is also being used. So what we as a project is doing is that we have undertaken, SIG Security has undertaken the OWASP Kubernetes Top 10 project, and we are in the process of updating it. We have a survey out that lists all the topics that could be in this OWASP Top 10, and then we are also gathering community input on those topics. And the aim is to publish this top 10 list by end of this year. And you can help us in 2 ways. First thing that you can do is you can click on the link when the slides are available, which will be soon, or scan the QR code, go see the list of the topics that's listed there, what the topic that you would like to see as a top 10 topic. And if you have any topics that's been missing or you would like to see, please let us know. We would take that into consideration. And the second thing that you can do is you can share your experiences, anything that you might have encountered, vulnerabilities when you're deploying, that you saw something that you would like to be captured, or bring your curiosity and help us create all these sections once we decide what they are going to be. We have a special meeting next week Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, just to discuss about the OWASP top 10 and finalize the list, or like get started with what's going to be the next course of action, and we welcome you all. All right, now that we have learned a little bit about this, we are so excited. As a group, we are so excited about it, and I know you all are, and I'm hoping to see a bunch of folks in the next meeting. That's next week. The next thing is the hardening guide. This project has been ongoing for a couple of years now. The goal of this project is to create in-depth documentation that can actually help cluster operators to secure their clusters. Unlike some of the third-party documentation like CII's benchmark that exists right now, which is very instructive in nature, this is meant to be very detailed and descriptive so that people can learn and then secure their clusters. There are already a few sections that have been merged. The first is the scheduler configuration. Sorry, I didn't want to get the name wrong. First one is a scheduler configuration, and one of the story about that is that I met the contributor at the KubeCon here. I think it was a couple of years ago. His name is Anshuman Tripati. I was talking in a booth, and he was like, okay, I want to learn more about SIG security. I'm interested in contributing. And he showed up to the meeting, and he picked up this topic because we were looking for contributors back then, and he learned quite a bit. It was a new topic for him. He learned quite a bit, and he created this amazing section, and it has a lot of hidden gems and details if you are interested and if you want to give it a read. And the second section that we have is for the authentication section, and thanks to Rory, it is a little bit more in-depth, and Ian has a very famous saying, which I love, by the way, and I quoted it in a lot of SIG security documentation talks, that we are all made of stars. Your RBAC shouldn't be. And thanks to Ian, I use it everywhere. So this is a great documentation for that. And if any of these is interesting to you and you would like to contribute, we have this list of sections that are available, and you can bring us your topic of interest as well if you want to see some new section. And one thing that we always encourage is that I know most of us all contribute to open source in our free time, and the time is valuable. So we encourage people to come in groups or find fellow contributors, take a section, say hey, I want to work on this section. Is there anyone who wants to work with me? You will be amazed. I met some of my cool friends by asking for help, or saying hey, if anyone wants to work with me on this. So you can partner up, learn together, and share together. The next thing that I want to talk about is my own story. So how I get started with SIG security docs is that in 2020, I showed up to the meeting, and Ian and Tabby, they were asking, does anyone want to lead this project? I put my hand up, and I said, I am super new. I have a passion for security, and I want to learn, and I'm willing to do the work. And that's how my journey started. I have learned a lot along the way. And the most important thing that I enjoy is enabling new contributors to make significant contributions, like Anshuman, for example. I'm really proud of him, and I'm hoping that he will continue contributing, and you will all be inspired by the story of myself and others who are a part of SIG Security. And if any of these things resonates with you, please join us in the Slack channel. There is a hyperlink there, and there is also more information at the end of the presentation. Or create an issue in the K website repo, tag it with SIG Security, and one of us would take a look at it, and that's how you can get started with SIG Security documentation. Thank you so much. And next up is going to be we are going to be hearing from Tabby on tooling.
So my co-chair, Tabitha Sable, couldn't come to KubeCon, and she is presenting anyway. So here is my co-chair, Tabitha Sable, to come tell you all about what's going on with the SIG Security Tooling subproject.
Thank you, Savitha. I'm Tabitha Sable, one of the co-chairs of Kubernetes SIG Security. SIG Security Tooling subproject was started in 2021 by our emeritus lead, Pushkar Yogikar. He brought tons of new people into the Kubernetes project, mentored them into getting their first contributions, and he started a lot of the same projects that we're still maintaining and building on today. When he couldn't contribute to Kubernetes anymore, I came in order to help to bring up our new lead, Mahe Tardy, to speed. So, since neither one of us were able to join you today in Atlanta, I'll be sharing a little bit of what SIG Security Tooling's been working on through the convenience of modern technology. So, the SIG Security Tooling subproject works to help make Kubernetes safer by building and maintaining code in collaboration with the other SIGs. Probably the thing that you've heard about us is the official CVE feed. We also do a lot of other things that help within the project, such as scanning for and triaging scanning results from vulnerability scanners, so that way we can reduce the chance that we ship publicly known vulnerabilities in dependencies as part of Kubernetes. We also work with the SIG Kubernetes infrastructure folks to make some improvements here and there to the infrastructure as code that keeps the project running. We also host learning sessions from time to time, where we talk to folks from the broader open source ecosystem about some of the security tools that they've been building. We recently hosted a learning session about KubeSound. It's a distributed port scanner for Kubernetes environments, and it was made in an academic environment to support research on the internal consistency of publicly available Helm charts. It could be adapted to use in your production environment, doing things like making sure that you are exposing the ports that you think you are and checking that your network policies are working. If you scan the QR code that's on the slide, you'll see a list of all of our past learning sessions, and you'll be able to check them out. You might get some good ideas. So, within the infrastructure as code realm, a couple of things going on that I'd like to share. One of them is that we would like to build some tooling to proactively identify and privately notify the Security Response Committee about possible Netlify takeovers. So, Netlify is a web hosting platform where you upload HTML and graphics and other web assets to a configured account called a Netlify domain. Then they host it within their infrastructure, and you direct traffic to the Netlify domain by setting certain DNS records. You see where the problem lies. So, if you have the DNS records configured, but you have deleted the Netlify domain or you haven't gotten around to making it yet, then any other user on the internet can claim that Netlify domain and post their own content, which will look like it's yours. Shenanigans ensue. Since we love shenanigans in SIG Security, but we try to make sure that they're only good shenanigans, this is an important thing for us to detect. So, if you think that's interesting, you might want to come and talk to us. Another thing we've been working on is migrating some of our own tools out of the trusted Kubernetes build cluster and into a more isolated environment based on Google Cloud Build. So, right now, especially the tool that runs the official CVE feed has to have access to certain credentials that are important to keep safe. And so right now, that feed runs on one of the trusted build clusters. The SIG K-Infra folks have been asking for folks to migrate off of that cluster where they can and instead run in Google Cloud Build. We've got the GCP project to do it in, but we haven't had time to make much more progress on it than that. So if you want to learn about how Kubernetes infrastructure is run for the project and make the world a little bit safer at the same time, again, stop on by and we can help you to get started on it. Other thing I'd like to share about is the official CVE feed. So it's a web page that users, distributors, developers can go to in order to see the information about all of the CVEs that the Kubernetes project has issued for vulnerabilities in our own code. We've made a bunch of internal improvements lately, like correcting some of the data that was in the issues, improving the accuracy of how our code extracts data from the issues, and adding unit testing so that we can do development more easily and with better confidence. Now that we have those improvements, the next thing that we want to do is move on to having better structure to the CVE vulnerability data. The first step there is making some tooling for the Security Response Committee to use when they're publishing vulnerabilities. Right now, they do that using some templates, and then we extract data from the templates. That means they're never quite perfectly the same as each other. So, with some scripting that the SRC can use, it'll collect the various bits of structured data and save them in a structured way, and then make it easier for the SRC members by outputting from that structured data to the various website imports and emails that they need to send. Once we have all that structured data, then we can also use it to publish the CVE feed in the additional OSV format that users have been requesting because it helps them to use their vulnerability scanners more easily. So, if any of these things sound like fun, come on and join us in SIG Security tooling on Kubernetes Slack or stop into one of our bi-weekly meetings. You'll see more information about how to join those in some of the slides later in the presentation. Back to you in Atlanta.
So next up is our subproject, self-assessments, and Carol would love to talk to you about that. Self-assessments started out with another contributor who showed up to a meeting one day and was like, I really want to make this happen. Ala Dewberry, who is not here today, came in and was like, I'm not a security person, I don't have a security title, but I'm really security interested. I work in product, and one of the things that we do in product is we make really good diagrams. We make really good flows, we make things really easy to visually understand, and I think this is a really important skill to bring to security. So Ala, who didn't have a security title, but who did have a lot of product knowledge and who did have a lot of passion for making things really easy to use, came in and figured out that one of the things that we could do is pattern off of the tag security model for self-assessments. Tag security, under the CNCF banner, has a mechanism for people to, for projects under the CNCF banner, of which there are many, to be able to threat model their way through their projects for themselves, figure out what the biggest security issues they're facing are, and figure out how to threat model through those. Figure out how to think that way. And so Ala brought her talents and her passion to projects under the Kubernetes banner and started SIG Security self-assessments for that. We have had and completed, under Ala's leadership, one for Cluster API, started one for vSphere, and started one for etcd. When VMware bought when VMware was bought by Broadcom, Broadcom pulled her off of open source work, and therefore we had to temporarily sunset SIG Security self-assessments, which was terribly sad, especially because we were really excited about the etcd one. And then somebody else came along and said, I want to grow into being a leader, and I want to bring this project back, because it's really important to me. And Carol is here to tell you about that.
Thanks, Ian. Yeah. I met Ian 6 months ago in KubeCon London, and I was walking in the middle of the pavilion, and already I participate in the self-assessment with Drew, I don't know, 4 or 5 times in the Zoom, because we have some meetings. And I asked to Ian, what happened with the self-assessment? What is the next project? And Ian told me, okay, you want to do that? And that's the way that I be involved and started to be as a facilitator for the etcd self-assessment, because it was the next subcomponent that from Kubernetes that is important, as you know, is the database of Kubernetes. And we started to create a self-assessment, the document that already, my first question was, how can I create from zero the self-assessment? Because I started in the middle, and mainly I participate in the data flow diagrams that you will see in the next slide. But this is the main component. If you think about how can I create from zero a self-assessment, it's mainly started with the data flows, the main components, how is the flow informations between the components. In this case, will be focused on the etcd. And is deliver the data flows and the Stride, that is also a framework for threat modeling. And after that, with that, we have a nice document. You can see here the data flow diagram. And this is from the project cluster API, because already SIG Kubernetes Security delivered 2 self-assessment, that it was vSphere and this virtual cluster API. And we are working and deliver another self-assessment that will be focused in etcd, and that is what I would like your collaborations. Here is the document, is the draft about all the 111 that we started to create it. And you can join and review this document and participate, that put your name and contribute with that and deliver to the community. At the end, it will be very nice that everyone also, my background is a DevOps engineer, and anyone can participate, just is be involved and try to learn and try to learn more. And with that.
So, the story of SIG Security is of lots of people who brought their small contribution into a bigger whole and had that contribution ripple out to become something amazing. And I want to say that to encourage all of you to get involved. Get involved in SIG Security, because of course we love that. Get involved in open source, get involved in your community, because your tiny contribution, your tiny part to play has ripple effects, has more impact than you know. So, if you do want to get involved in SIG Security, here's how you do it. You can click on that little QR code, which I promise is not a Rickroll or a goose, although it is kind of a goose, to join our mailing list, which will give you calendar invites to our meetings. We have meetings every other Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. We have one tomorrow, so if you are not delayed at the airport like the rest of us, then come to our meeting. And if you are, then come to our meeting at the same time in 2 weeks. We have a part to play for everybody, and all of you have a part to play somewhere. So if you are brand new, if you are really experienced, if you're worried about having a security title or not, it's chill. Come hang out with us, come bring your gifts, bring your ideas. We want to help you grow, and we want to help make them happen. So that's us. We are Kubernetes SIG Security. I really appreciate you all taking the time out of your day at the end of this conference to come spend this time with us today. Apologies for the technical difficulties and the dad jokes. I really appreciate all of you. So that's us. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Don't think we have time for questions. Yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down?